Yep. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talking Knicks. This is your host, Greg Poon. We sent Jake on vacation. We had enough with him. I'm sure you all have too. I'm here with my co-host, Big Baby David Mendelson. How are you doing today, Dave?
What's up? Not bad, not bad. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm right. Thank you for asking. Kenny, my brother Kenny is here as well. Kenny, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. My weekend was good. I do appreciate Big Baby David asking you how you're doing because I feel like the host doesn't get that often. They just ask people how they're doing and then they just get ignored. So
I know.
Nice job.
David's going to be getting a lot of questions fed to him today.
Mm-hmm. Setting them up with the alley oops.
Tom's here as well. How are you doing, Tom?
Greg, I'm doing well, and let's talk Knicks.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, boom, boom. All right. So a lot has happened. Kevin Durant got injured. Kyrie's going to the Nets. LeBron is teaming up with Anthony Davis. But let's start with that last one because that's set in stone. Anthony Davis traded to the Lakers from the Pelicans for Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, and a lot of picks. Which I lost. I literally, in my phone, I went to the tweet, and I'm not on it anymore.
I have it open if you want.
All right, yeah, read it. Perfect.
So that's the alley-oop he was talking about before.
So the Pelicans will get the following picks from the Lakers. The number 4 pick this year, a top 8 protected pick in 2021. If that doesn't convert, it will be unprotected in 22. An unprotected swap in 23. The unprotected pick in 24 and an unprotected swap in 25. So a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. That's quite the haul. Tom, we'll let you lead. What are your thoughts on the haul, first of all? By the Pelicans and by the Lakers.
I didn't mean to jump into the basketball talk before all the, the back and forth we usually have. I just had to get that theme song in there.
Yeah.
Because that's like really our bread and butter.
Yeah, people love it.
People love that theme song. But, the AD trade, it really crystallized a few things. I know there was a lot of back and forth on Knicks Twitter about what the Knicks should be willing to give up for a guy like Anthony Davis. He's probably a consensus top 5 player in the league. He's still young in his prime. So he's going to fetch a lot, but we've been seeing a lot lately that these all NBA caliber players haven't been getting that much in return. Kawhi Leonard was kind of a unique situation coming off his injury, but there's some parallels to be drawn there anyway. The bottom line is, after seeing everything the Lakers gave up, there's no chance any intelligent Knicks fan would think the Knicks should have even tried to match that offer. I don't even know that the Knicks had the assets to do it, but even if they did, I don't know if you guys are going to debate me on this, but there's just no way they should have tried to match that offer for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's quite the haul. The Knicks don't have the young players that the Lakers had. At least they haven't produced like the Lakers players have to date. And the picks, that's a lot of picks and a lot of swapping going on. And the Knicks are going to be bad. So we don't want to be giving up our picks at this current time. Kenny, your thoughts?
Yeah, when the trade first came out, it's like, okay, that seems like a normal trade. And then I heard 3 picks. Like, okay, that's a lot. That's still that's probably more than I would have offered already. And then I found out about all the pick swaps, and it's like that's the next. I think they said 6 or 7 years they control the Pelicans control the Lakers draft situation, and LeBron's got an option in a couple years, and AD is technically a free agent. I know everyone's saying he's going to resign, and that's the report from Woj. But until that's signed, you can't feel 100% confident that that's definitely going to happen. And if by some chance either of those players don't end up on the Lakers at the end of that term, those are very valuable picks. And, even to the extent that it's just LeBron, Anthony Davis was just on a team in the West with Jrue Holiday, and it's not like he did much on that team to get them out of the lottery. So regardless of what happens, unless it's they get someone else or something happens and they have like a lot of long-term players because they have no one else left on the team at this point. And that's just a lot of draft compensation.
Yeah.
For me, it's the Knicks didn't have these kinds of assets to offer other than having the number 3 pick this year to offer instead of 4. That's the only real advantage they had over the Lakers. If they offered whatever the equivalent is, I think we'd be killing them for giving up 7 years of draft selections. And the Lakers, it makes a little more sense for them because they're on LeBron's clock. They only have a couple years to maximize his prime, so it makes more sense for them to go for the Anthony Davis trade and to give up this much. They're still going to get killed for it eventually, I think, but it definitely wouldn't have made sense for the Knicks to pay this price now that we know what the price would have been.
Yeah. And one big question I have is, who were the Pelicans bidding against? Was it the Knicks? Because this offer is so much better than anything the Knicks could have possibly offered.
All right, who the Lakers are bidding against? Yeah, and I thought the same thing, Greg. Like,
yeah,
who was driving that price up? Because the best New York could reasonably offer is nowhere close to that, and it's like the Lakers kept Kuzma, but he's like the least, in my opinion, like the least impressive of those prospects, or at least has the least upside of those prospects.
He's the best shooter, worst defender of the batch.
And
that's fair.
So from what I heard, the Knicks weren't really willing to budge on their offer, which was the 3 pick. I think either one or both of the Mavericks picks, and then one of their young players, and nothing more than that, which is a lot less than what the Lakers offered. So,
and I don't think that's a great offer. Like, if you really want to score Anthony Davis, you're going to have to offer more than that. Just one of you have to be willing to part with more than just one of your young guys. Maybe it's a case where the Pelicans weren't that high on guys like Knox or Frank or Dennis Smith Jr. So it's like adding them into the mix wouldn't have moved the needle at all. But like saying that's the most the Knicks were willing to offer, it's a little concerning to me because it's like, are you just way too high on your own players at this point? Because like the picks are the part that you don't want to give up if you're the Knicks. The present players on the roster, like they certainly have potential, but they shouldn't be holding you up from trying to complete the Anthony Davis deal.
And I mean, then these were early reports, so I don't know if that's the first offer and the Pelicans were just like, well, the Lakers have already offered way more than that, so we're just going to go down that road. But like in any event, it doesn't really matter because what the Lakers offered was just so much more than anything I think the Knicks should have been willing to offer. So
yes,
the only team I can think of that might have like been in the mix still is like, I don't know, was Boston really trying to get in on it, and were the Pelicans like going to hold out for Tatum if they didn't get this offer from the Lakers?
yeah.
Like that's like the only other
how,
team I can like think of that was close.
And you got to wonder how much the Celtics were willing to offer after Rich Paul just came out and said he's only going to be there if the Celtics trade for him, he's only going to be there for 1 year, and that seemed like specifically a message that was just like, don't bother, like whatever you're going to trade for him, take half of that and offer that, and then he's just going to the Lakers.
And you think that would drive down the value of Anthony Davis on the market, right? So like the Boston's not competing for that trade, and it's like the Lakers still gave up a ton, but at the end of the day, like David said, they're in win now mode. So like where they are is completely different than where the Pelicans are, who are completely in a rebuilding mode. So I mean, I really do think it's good for both teams, and it's also good that the Knicks stayed out of it at this point, based on what we know.
And the only thing that I could possibly think of that might have driven the Lakers offer up was the Pelicans owner saying that she'd trade him to the Lakers over her dead body. So like that's the only thing that I'm like, maybe that they had to blow her away, otherwise they weren't going to make the trade.
Well, so and Kenny, and that was kind of my thought process too, is like, so the Knicks weren't willing to part with all their young guys to try and like, I don't know, tempt the owner who clearly reportedly didn't want to do a deal with the Lakers at all. That I guess that's what made it surprising to me, those reports that the Knicks wouldn't part with their young guys. It's like you're dealing with an owner who has limited options, especially given her relationship with Lakers management. So that it's strange to me that the Knicks weren't willing to go above and beyond and offer up all of Knox, Mitch, and I'm not saying that like that would have even got it done, but
offer it. Just say, hey, you can have this.
But offer it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Knicks fans are just like thrilled that they are not mortgaging their future for one star. And there would have been some potential for Anthony Davis after one season where it was only him to want to leave during his free agency, right? It's not a situation where the Knicks have a LeBron caliber player in place to really like keep AD.
And you wonder if Kevin Durant didn't get hurt, how much that might have changed the calculus.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the perfect transition. One of the reasons we probably weren't in the mix because, putting aside the fact that we didn't have a good offer, because we're going to be bad next year. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you guys. We've been convincing ourselves for quite some time that we were going to get Kevin Durant, team up with Kyrie Irving, and we were going to be very good next year. And I'll be honest. I was 75% sure that was going to happen. I was very confident.
I convinced myself.
I was more than 75% sure.
I still think we're getting Kevin Durant, but let's talk about it. Kevin Durant, NBA Finals, Game 5, plays 12 of the first 14 minutes, coming back from a calf injury that kept him out a month. Tears his Achilles on a move at the key, the wing at the key, and he is out for next season. So, but he has a team option for $31 million or so with a player option to stay with the Warriors for $31 million or so, or he can opt out and pursue a max, which would pay him about $38 million in year one plus whatever for the next 3 years. So, Tom, Kevin Durant's still getting that offer?
Yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of teams still willing to give KD the full max. Are the Knicks one of them? I think so. I think it makes sense for the Knicks to make the full offer and to just tank again next season, have another top 3, hopefully, top 3, top 4 pick in next year's draft, and maybe you can flip that for something. There's always going to be a disgruntled superstar somewhere along the way. So, I think for me, if I'm the Knicks, I do offer that full max. And that may be a controversial statement to some, saying offering he'll be 32, I think, the next time he plays basketball, coming off of an Achilles injury. But it's Kevin Durant. He's a top 10 player of all time, right? He's really a remarkable guy. And even before he got injured in that game, playing on that clearly hampered calf, he was 3 for 3 from behind the arc. He had 11 points. And he's a huge reason they even won that game and pushed it to a Game 6. So there were a lot of people criticizing his toughness, his heart, and all that. But I think he laid a lot of that to bed, and really his public perception probably went up a great deal, unfortunately, as a result of this injury. It's unfortunate it had to come to that, but I think I don't even know if he's going to be looking to move. If he's going to take this player option, just take the $31 million and kick the can down the road and make the decision next year. I don't know, because he could still garner a full max after next year potentially, right? I think there are going to be teams to do that. I'm curious to your guys' thoughts though.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to say before that is because a lot of people were calling Durant soft for not playing in games 1 through 4. Basically, like, it's just a calf. Where's this guy? I don't want to name names, but the host of this pod, not tonight, but usually was saying this guy might be a little soft. And then he comes back and he shows that he was actually very injured.
Yeah, and I sent this to you guys later, but there were other reports that there was some internal grumbling from the Warriors players themselves because, Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Iguodala, and Kevon Looney were all playing through injuries, and there were grumblings, and I don't know. Again, I wasn't part of the conversation, but you don't know how deep that went, and how serious that was. But it's tough to see that, and then see him go out there and try to risk it and get injured like that. And you guys, I've said it to you guys before. I've said it on this podcast before. I have kind of two phrases that I live by. One is it's easy to walk away from another person's money when you think someone should take a discount. The other is it's easy to play through someone else's injury because, it's easy for us to sit back here on the podcast and just be like, well, it's a calf strain. Like, he's been out for a month. How injured could he actually be? And this is the NBA Finals. And then this happens, and it kind of really puts things in perspective. And you wonder, like, is this going to have any impact on that in the future, or are people just going to be still kind of have that Monday morning quarterback situation? But in any event, it's not ideal. It's bad for the Knicks. It's not great for the NBA, to be honest with you. But it is what it is at this point.
David, I'll give you a layup question. Where's Kevin Durant? Where's Kevin Durant signing?
So I was about to say to answer Tom's original question and now your new question. I think he's ultimately like re-signing with Golden State for the max. That said, as far as the Knicks situation, if he still wants to come here, he'll take a max and come here. Give it to him, because even if he's never quite the same, if he's like 85% of what he's been, that guy's still a max player even in his 30s. And yeah, like we were saying, you kind of just reset for a year. You have 2 max slots. You can also use the other max, just like trade for a couple other teams' bad contracts and take another pick on, all that kind of stuff. That's what the Hawks are doing now.
So Dave, what I'm wondering is, what was it about this injury you think that would have persuaded KD? Because I think a lot of us thought he was coming to the Knicks, that he wanted to be with the Knicks.
Right.
Then he suffered this injury, and now you're thinking that he wants to go back to Golden State and sign a full max there. Well, I mean, in my mind, part of it is that the fact that the Warriors lost bolsters his case that the Warriors needed him all along, right? That KD's detractors were all saying he was just a luxury. They were the 73-win team without him, and they didn't need him to win these titles. He just made it unfair. And then, granted, there were several other injuries during these finals against the Raptors, but the fact that, KD played in, call it 14 minutes of one game, and they end up winning that one, and then they lose many games without him in pretty dramatic fashion. So I don't know. Do you think that there's the fact that he feels a little like exonerated making this decision, going to Golden State, like they really do need him to win titles, and that's the reason that he would stick around there?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of a couple things. It's what you said, where he feels that his decision was correct originally back in 2016. They do need him in order to be, the team they are. But also, I think he's going to be out a whole year. He's going to likely want to recover with people he knows. Because imagine coming to the Knicks, who are known for just every bad decision. You're going to put them in charge of your career-altering recovery.
I guess the pushback on that would be this is the medical staff who clearly wronged him, right? Like they cleared him to go.
That's true.
And he obviously wasn't ready. So does that taint his relationship with the Warriors and make him distrust the way they rehab injuries?
Yeah,
and one other point I think is that New York City hospitals and all of the specialists that he would go to are also generally in New York. I think he flew to New York to have his surgery. So
he had the surgery here, right?
Yeah. So to the extent that that's the case, and that's the medical team that you trust, then maybe you trust them a little more. But I've gone back and forth on this question and kind of where he might end up. And something Tom said earlier kind of triggered me in a little bit. Is like if he can exercise his contract and then sign a 4-year extension next year, like the normal way that someone like LeBron has handled that was to sign a 1-and-1, and then if he wanted to extend, he could do a longer extension. But here, because he's injured, I don't think any team other than the Warriors would be willing to offer him a 1-year deal to do that. So, maybe that is more of a possibility than I kind of initially thought. So we'll see what happens. I think the Knicks are gonna offer him the full max, and maybe he comes here, maybe he doesn't. We'll see.
But do you think that his injury would has changed the terms here? Is there I know you thought he was going to come if we offered him the full max.
So what I was saying, if he if he wanted to come to the Knicks and he could do a 1-1 and then opt out and then do a longer extension after the first year. Now no one would offer him a 1-1 because he's not going to play that first year. So if he wants to just kick the can down the road, like you said, and then take a 4-year deal at the end, maybe he does that. It does change the calculus a little bit. It's just that he's not going to play next year, so maybe that's not an option.
He's not picking up that option.
Yeah, I don't see him picking up the option. Like, yeah, why run the risk of coming back if in a year, either not played in a year, or he came back, played like a few games in whatever series. Yeah. And then it turns out he like really doesn't look the same, and now nobody wants to give him that like huge contract anymore.
Yeah, next offseason, if he picked up the option, a team could be like, show me what you got before we offer you this contract. Whereas right now,
what would change between now and then if he doesn't play at all next year, which they said he's probably not going to? What would change between now and then?
And actually,
we have a year to get healthy, and then he could actually move. And like in the offseason, they'd be like, work out for us and show us that you can play basketball, and then we'll offer you a contract.
Well, no, but I mean, no, but we're saying that team is offering him the max right now this summer.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, and so if you're doing that, why would your decision then change next summer?
Because he has the full year to recover, and then you would actually be able to see what he's done in the recovery. You would be able to see how it's gone. Like David said, he may come back at the very end of the year, play a game or two in a series, and you'll see what he actually is at that point.
I don't think in actuality like anything changes as far as what teams are going to offer him or not, but like just like theoretically, I don't think he and his group are gonna let him run that risk anyway. Even though I don't think any team's actually gonna feel differently in a year, but why run the risk of that even entering their minds? I guess is where I'm seeing that from.
And then you're also adding that last year he's a year older, and even at the end of this current contract, he'd already be 34.
But then every year, like at least in that last year, he'd be playing for the money you pay him. Versus this year, when you offer him a full max, he wouldn't give you any value on the court, and he'd still be getting that full year of max money.
That's true. I'm just saying, if he has a year to recover, and he doesn't recover, then people aren't going to be like, "Here's your max."
Well, I mean, I don't know that there's any. Like, there's been players who have had this injury and who have come back, and like, I don't know if there's a situation where he is just so bad at the end that it just he doesn't warrant a max, right? I mean, the closest would be Boogie, but like, I feel like Boogie's situation is a little different. He's a different player. He's never been on a winner. He's not the same kind of level as Durant, but like, I just don't see a situation where. Like, I could see him being a diminished player, but I don't see a situation where he's so diminished that someone's not willing to offer him the max next year.
And I should be clear, I don't think he's necessarily going to pick up his option and play and like be on the Warriors this upcoming season. I don't think it's an impossibility, but like
it's also making $7 million less this year if he does that compared to getting the max.
In year one of the max, he'd be making like 38 mil next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely factors in. It's hard to get in his head at this point, but
I'll get in his head and say that he's not going to pick up the option.
But then what is he going to do instead?
He's going to sign a 4-year or 5-year max. I don't know where. I think with the Knicks. I think he's going to sit out the year, red shirt. We'll get him on the Spurs Tim Duncan process. David Robinson got injured for a year. Spurs picked Tim Duncan, and they were the greatest team ever until last year. So
it's a good play.
We'll have a 20-year run starting not this season, but next season. We'll be good for 20 years.
Don't hate it.
And I'm with Tom. I don't necessarily think that that's a possibility, but I think it's more of a possibility than you think it is that he picks up the option.
I'll say there's a 0% chance of that happening.
All right. I think it's a better than 0% chance.
But even if it doesn't happen, that doesn't mean there was a 0%. It doesn't matter. But
I'd say it does.
If he just doesn't do it, then we'll never know how close he was to doing it.
All right. So let me.
the
only,
another 20
the only
years
thing we'll
when the
know
book
for
comes
sure.
out.
The only thing we'll know for sure is if he does do it, and then we'll know you're wrong.
Yeah.
No one else here will we know if they're wrong or not.
It's the breaks of the game.
I'm the host, and you guys are all wrong, except for you, David. What?
Yes.
Ready? Last Durant question. David already answered this one. He's saying 5-year max Golden State. Kenny, what's he signing and where?
I think he's doing a 4-year max with the Knicks.
Tom.
I think he'll do. I think he'll do a 4-year max with the Warriors.
I do. If he's going with the Warriors, it's got to be a 5-year, right?
They're gonna give him.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a
But
5-year, but it would just make more sense if it was
Yeah.
a 5-year, because that's the more money. And you're not at the end of the contract. He wouldn't be signing. He wouldn't be getting more than he would in the last year
Yeah.
of the deal.
Or maybe he would. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he becomes bionic. We
Yeah.
don't know.
There's all
Yeah.
sorts of crazy.
So Tom, so we got a 2-2 Warriors against Knicks because I'm 4-year max Knicks.
I definitely. I definitely don't think like Katie the Knicks is dead, but I think it's like 60-70% Warriors, the rest Knicks. I think those are the only two teams really, right? No one else.
Yeah, and can I ask, Greg? You're the salary cap guy. If the Golden State Warriors give a max to Klay Thompson, do they have any more space to do anything else? Right now, I think they're at about 120 if you include Durant's option, which I think is a good proxy for what Klay would end up making next year.
No, they won't.
So they have to sign Klay. They'd have to. They have no reason not to offer Klay and Durant the max unless they're not offering Klay the max.
Exactly. The only thing they could do is sign Looney to whatever they want to sign Looney to, pretty much. Maybe
Yeah.
Jordan Bell if he's a free agent.
As I understand it, they can sign both of those guys. They can keep pretty much whoever on their team, but then next year they'd have to let Draymond walk, which they're probably fine with.
They just have to. I mean, they could keep Draymond too, but they just have to pay like $200 million in luxury tax alone,
That's true.
or something.
It gets really funky.
But like Jake said, they're opening a new stadium in San Francisco, which is just going to be printed money. Because you're not just making money from the NBA games; you're making money from concerts and WNBA games.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible that this injury kind of reallocates Durant's priorities a bit, and maybe like that 5th year of security is going to mean more to him now than it did previous to this injury. So if the Warriors do indeed offer the 5-year max, like that could be, that's where the injury could be kind of a turning point in this, I think.
And not to turn this to talking Warriors for a second, but I think the Warriors are in a pretty tough spot because of the situation where if they offer Klay a max, which presumably they will, they can't do anything else unless it's re-signing their own players. So they pretty much have to keep Durant. And then if you have both Klay and Durant not playing next year, like, are they still a playoff team or are they on the fringe there? Where are they?
Warriors get the number 1 pick of the NBA draft next year. Then Klay and Durant come back. You got Curry, number 1 pick, Klay Durant next year.
Wow. That's crazy because that's what's going to happen. That's what it's like to be a Knicks fan.
I mean, if Durant really were to sign with the Knicks, say a 4-year max starting next year, he'd have to have like some assurances that the Knicks are going to get somebody else, right? Like he's not going to want to just come back and just be the only guy there. That's really risky for him.
Yes, that's a good point. Which it's like half transition. We'll still talk Durant, but I want to bring this up. The plan was, in my head at least, and I'm sure in a lot of people's heads, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving teaming up together with the Knicks. And now reports are saying that Kyrie may be leaning to the Nets. Which maybe the Durant injury factored into that, but it's kind of sounded like that even before Durant got injured. I might think. I don't really. was
Yeah,
at
it
least very close in the timeline. So what do you guys think of that? Because honestly, even before this season started, there was Kyrie to the Knicks rumors, and I was sold by him.
I'm gonna say they're probably just gonna get Kawhi and win the championship next year, and then Durant will come in and they'll win the championship the next year too. So that's my plan. I
It's a
mean,
good plan.
a plan B, I think, if they can't convince Kawhi to come, then like maybe even just throw a bunch of money at Kemba, let him come in, because like what we learned this year is you don't have to be the worst team in the NBA to get a top 3 pick, and it's kind of a crapshoot at this point. So let Kemba come in. Maybe they fight for a low playoff seeding, and if they don't make it, then they have a shot to get a top pick, and then Durant comes in the next year, and you have the two of them, plus all of the young guys still around them. So that would be my general thought process.
Can I say this to you? You
Sure.
think adding Kemba to this Knicks team has them fighting for anything at all?
I mean, Kemba last year on a bad Charlotte team was fighting for the playoffs.
It
You
wasn't
think-
this bad, though. It wasn't this bad.
Well,
I think
you have
Kemba,
RJ Barrett now.
you're still getting a good lottery pick.
We have RJ Barrett now, guys.
That's good. He's going to be our best player, for better
It
or
is
worse.
good. On previous recent podcasts, we were speculating that whoever we draft would not even play a season with the Knicks.
This whole
But
Durant
now
thing changed it all.
It's looking
Now-
more and more like RJ Barrett will be a Knick, and that's me. I like RJ easily.
So now it's looking like whoever the Knicks draft will be the best player on their team from day one. Kinda. Is that true?
I mean, I think they're still going to try to get
I-
someone
yeah.
in free agency.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'm just saying, like at the exact point in time where they're drafted before free agency starts.
Yeah, that's probably the
Nick
case.
Robb might still be a more effective player
Who?
than RJ
Mitch.
Barrett day one, but maybe not.
Oh, Mitch Rob.
Yeah, I
What, do
mean,
you guys don't think Frank is the best player?
I still
Kenny-
do. These guys have been ripping me for forever.
Kenny does. Honestly, I thought Frank was
my
as good as
dirty little
John.
secret is I like Frank.
I
Yeah,
like
we
Frank, too.
all like Frank. We all want him to be good.
Yeah,
Some of us
no,
realize that he's not as good as we want him to be.
Yeah.
But he
Frank's
will
not
be.
even the best player in whatever room he's in right now. I don't know where he is.
Here's your guys' fun fact
Probably
of the
hanging out
day.
with LeBron.
Fun fact of the day. Frank is currently the highest paid player on the Knicks. Joakim Noah is actually making more money than him this year, but Frank's on the Knicks.
Is that
Did
right?
they-
Stretch Joakim is the highest paid player on the roster right now.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
only
a
at,
See
big
what he
stretch.
gets.
no, but only at like $6 million.
Yeah, because he gets the 6, right?
I think they paid him the whole amount, but it's the cap.
Yeah, as far as
Just
cap
spread out.
space, he's getting 6 million.
Yeah.
Because
Frank-
he counts for 6
thought-
million this year.
I thought, did they cut Lance Thomas yet?
They
Not yet,
waived
but
him.
His
Or
guar-
they said they were. They're
his
gonna.
his guarantee is only $1 million. He's on the book for 7, but it's guaranteed for 1. They cut him before June 30th, then it's all off the books before free agency starts.
And while we're talking about Lance Thomas, I don't know if you guys kind of saw this, but I think their whole thought is they're gonna try to buy him out and or I don't know, this was speculation, but buy him out and then pay him like an extra $3 million. So like, it seems like a good deal for him because he'd be making the
Yeah,
same amount of
Get a
money.
little extra money.
Yeah.
What?
Oh wait, it's non-guaranteed, so it's not a buyout. Never mind. Disregard. Edit this in post.
Lance Thomas has $1 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
They waive him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buy that out.
There's no reason to give him any money more than
Yep,
$1
you're
million.
right. I was
Okay.
misinterpreting that.
All right, we'll edit it in post.
There will be no editing done. So I guess my next question would be like, say the Knicks don't get Kevin Durant, what free agency targets are you looking at? We said Kemba. Is there anyone else that the Knicks should be considering? Like,
I mean, I think you're still trying to get Kyrie. I mean, you're not convinced that he's going to the Nets. You can't be. You can't be. You just can't believe that. But I mean, it sounds like it's possible. A lot of people reporting that it may be close to done. But Kyrie's crazy.
They're gonna try.
Same people as before. Kyrie, Kemba, KD, and who was the last one?
Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
D'Lo.
Yeah, I mean that's the new wrinkle in the plan. If Kyrie goes there, they're saying D'Lo is probably gone. Like, do we want to take a shot at him?
Jake loves D'Lo.
Jake loves him too much, though. Like, I like him, but
I really like
love him
D'Lo.
Jake,
I'm not in love
Jake
with
does.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He posted some good numbers on the playoff team.
yeah. Like, I'm not giving him a max, but like if the price is right, maybe I'd take that shot.
He's getting a max somewhere, right? He's like 23 or something.
He was an All-Star this year, right?
Made All-Star team.
Made his first All-Star team.
Someone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be livid if it were us.
If it was the
Depends
max,
what else we're doing, I
I
guess.
think if it was the max, it might be livid.
I guess I also don't actually know what the max would be in my head for him.
I don't know either. You're right.
Because I know it's like different with age and
Yeah.
whatever else. So in my mind, I'm not mad about it, but show me the actual figures, and I maybe I would be.
So what do you guys think the Knicks are going to do? You think they're going to try to win next year, or do you think they're just going to punt? Like, are we going to be trying to acquire bad contracts? Are we going to be signing Chris Middleton? Are we going to be signing Durant and redshirting him? What's going on, David?
I think they're still gonna go for KD. If he wants to come, you sign him. I think no matter what, they're gonna try to be bad next year. I guess if they convince another guy to come with KD, they know KD will play the next year. Then yeah, you run that, and you will be mediocre next year. Fight for a playoff seed if it's like Kyrie or something, and whatever. Or they'll sign KD, punt on this year, take in a couple bad contracts, get more picks, whatever else you're gonna do, and try to have that top lottery pick next year and whatever else, and see what the free agency and disgruntled star situation is in 12 months.
All right, Caddy.
So I think the plan A is still to get the best players on the market, and to the extent that that's KD, and he doesn't play next year, that's fine. To the extent that if they're able to convince Kyrie or Kawhi or Kemba to come, that'd be cool, and that'd be fine with that. And to the extent that they aren't able to get those guys, I think then you shift into signing to the Philadelphia JJ Redick model, where you're just signing pretty good players to very lucrative 1-year contracts and trying to kick the can down the road, and then like David said, trying to take on bad money to get some more assets.
Yeah, and one thing you said there that I forgot is Kawhi Leonard.
I was gonna say that's the second time he's mentioned Kawhi, and we kind of just glossed over it the first time.
It's like,
think there's really a chance of Kawhi getting there?
People have been reporting that they're going strong after him. I mean, obviously, every single team is going to be going strong after Kawhi Leonard. So, does he want to be with the Knicks? I mean, the report has been for this season that the Clippers are the favorite for Kawhi Leonard, to the point where I think I read that the Clippers are like the third favorite to win the NBA championship next season. It's like the Lakers, Bucks, and Clippers. So, who knows? I mean, but if Durant is injured and he's out for New York, how different is the plan really if we get Kawhi and Kyrie instead of KD and Kyrie like we were originally planning? It's not that different. I mean, maybe we should still have the same optimism that we had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think if some like non-Knicks fans heard you say that, they would just ridicule the whole mentality. I mean, we're not getting KD anymore. It's Kawhi and Kyrie now. Like, we're good.
Yeah, so I think that the only difference really is all of the noise about Kevin Durant going to the Knicks and like that basically being a done deal, and it being a kind of an uphill battle to sign both Kyrie and Kawhi at this point. So like that's the only difference, but like that should still be the goal, I think. Like,
I mean, has there been any noise that Kawhi is interested in signing with the Knicks? I haven't heard that at all. He's coming off a title with the Raptors. Like, does he not want to try and run that back, even doing like a 1-1 in
I
Toronto.
So I think there was some weird comment in the post game where like they asked him about what the deal was, and he said something along the lines of like, "You guys know what my list was when I left San Antonio. Like, I haven't been thinking about it since then. I've just been trying to think about basketball and didn't really address it. But like that first part of it is kind of sketchy." So
And
like,
I know Big Baby David said Chris Carter, NFL great, reporting that Kawhi to the Knicks is a thing. So
it's true.
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Look, he's boys with Kawhi, and he says it's possible. So I take his word as gospel.
I do too. I take David's word as gospel, and he takes his word as gospel. It's like a game of telephone. Kawhi to the Knicks.
Bam, done.
Let's get our man.
Tom, what are you thinking? You think this is crazy? Tom,
I
you seem to
do.
believe
I
that
guess
Kawhi isn't coming to the Knicks for some reason.
I can't imagine Kawhi going from winning a title to going to this Knicks team, and like objectively next year they'll just be bad. They'll just be so bad. Like it would be very surprising to me if Kawhi came to New York. I've kind of gone full Knicks pessimist though at this point, where I just think it's not even that much of a pessimistic outlook. I just think it's going to be a slow rebuild in a traditional way, not through free agency, but through draft and hopefully through some player development. I think there's some solid talent in New York right now that it has to be developed, and it has to be brought to the surface. And you include RJ Barrett, you include next year's first round draft pick. There's going to be a lot of young talent in this core. So I think that's going to be the route that it goes, and that free agency won't play as much of a factor as we hoped / thought originally.
Tom,
One thing, Kenny, you go ahead.
so just one counterpoint to the whole like you don't see him winning a championship and then just being like whatever. Kawhi's a weirdo, and like he forced his way out of San Antonio, and he's just a weird guy. So I think he could just be unpredictable and do whatever the hell he wants.
Well, I think he lost trust in the training staff there, who tried to rush him back from his quad injury, and like after that relationship was busted, he had no interest in coming back and joining the team. Even once he reportedly was on the healthier side, he didn't want to risk his health for a team that he thought didn't have his best interest at heart. So, and we've seen through this KD thing that like we should kind of err on the side of the players listening to their bodies a little bit versus rushing back. So I don't blame him for wanting to be out of San Antonio if that's really how he felt. And then I don't know. I think Kawhi just wants to win basketball games just based on all the interviews I saw afterwards and the little that we know about him. So I would, again, be very surprised if he came to New York. I hope I'm wrong. I would be the first one to buy a Kawhi jersey on the Knicks, but I'm not holding my breath for it.
But there's one thing you're forgetting, and that's Apple time.
Apple time. Boy, man gets paid.
One thing I'll say about running it back with the Raptors after the championship is they win that championship. I mean, we all saw what happened. I mean, we all know that they're all like, F the haters. We clearly won the championship and we have the trophy, but they know what it took for that to happen. So do they believe they're going to win the championship again?
They made it through.
Probably, but like they shouldn't.
They
Fred
made it
VanVleet believes it.
Yeah, they made it through the East. They beat Philly and Milwaukee, and then they beat a crippled Golden State team.
Then they beat the Knicks in the finals, essentially.
It does give the Knicks hope, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, we know that if the Knicks were in the finals, they could win at least one game.
Yeah, with a hobbled Durant.
Terrible. Well, this conversation made me sad.
Sorry, man.
So,
I think that was inevitable.
Yes, it was. We all needed to get this out. We've all had high hopes on free agency playing a key role, but Tom has enlightened me that it will not, and life will continue.
And that's okay too.
So one more point. It sounds like you're getting ready to wrap up. Maybe I'm wrong, but do we want to talk about any more about the draft, which is rapidly approaching?
I have another hour of material planned.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, we can if you want, but we
I
can
mean, I
also separate that. When is it? It's like Thursday or something?
There's
Thursday.
this week.
I know Jake will want to go live for that actual thing. Maybe we could do something before, or we could do it right now. But I think
Yeah.
Jake would have an opinion on it.
We can wait for Jake. I mean, he's probably the reason that Kevin Durant got injured and won't be on the Knicks next year, but we can wait for him.
Shots fired
Jake-
there, but
Jake is a trainer on the Warriors in his spare time. So
Jake went viral. Kevin Durant saw it, went around, listened to a bunch of stuff Jake was saying, heard Jake call him soft, and decided to go out there and play.
this is
Bet.
getting reckless.
reckless speculation. We're all going at each other's throats now. Kevin Durant's tearing us apart.
Even as far as the draft goes, though, is there really anything interesting that can happen? Like the Knicks are going to take
The Knicks-
RJ Barrett here,
And now
that's kind of-
they're not gonna trade him for anything because there's nothing
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
There's nothing worth
I mean-
RJ Barrett, I don't think, at
And
this
that's-
point.
And that's true. And I mean, the other speculation was the possibility of a trade down, which you guys talked about on previous episodes, is just them kind of kicking the tires on that. But now, even without Durant, there's no reason to trade down for two lesser pieces to surround Durant because he's not going to be there.
Right.
Yeah, you're not drafting for fit. You're drafting for anything resembling talent at this point. So, I don't think that we'll do a live thing, I'd imagine, on draft night. I just think it's going to be really boring, so don't listen to it.
It'll be fun. Well, the Knicks analysis will not be interesting. The rest of it will be fun because we like basketball.
Yeah, so we'll
We'll have
comment
a fun
on other
time
people's
talking
picks.
about it. Yeah,
I guess
of course.
there's always a chance that like there's some guy in like the 20s that the Knicks are just in love with and they trade other picks for him, which I'm not in favor of, but it would be very Knicks to just give up a bunch of things that they don't really have to pick one dude.
Yeah.
We can talk about Taco Fall.
I mean, you could see the
Yeah.
Knicks trading
Think
Frank for the Spurs pick, and then Frank being an All-Star next season.
That's
Very
true.
likely.
I just love that you called him Fred.
I did.
I thought it was just a little tongue slip, but yeah.
I think you called him Frank, and Tom's just
Whatever,
hard of
Fred.
hearing, I guess.
I should start calling him Fred. One more thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that it's been reported that Kristaps Porzingis is fully healed from his
From the
ACL
fight
injury.
or from the injury?
Oh, nice.
ACL. I also thought he was fully injured like 3 months ago, but now there's another report that says he's fully healed. So let's get him back. Let's undo the trade after everything that happened. I'll take
But
another
he's
year.
a
Tim
restricted free
Hardaway.
agent.
Oh, there it is.
Nice. We
Let's
should offer him our max.
We should offer him the exact deal we offered Tim Hardaway Jr.
It's a lot of money. Oh, it's crazy that Tim Hardaway Jr. is on another team and the Knicks were able to get rid of him.
Man, I wouldn't even want Porzingis if he came crawling back. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm mad on him now.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Porzingis if we had to take Tim Hardaway Jr. back.
No.
What?
All right, if
Yeah,
they
what you
offered
guys
you
think?
Porzingis and Tim Hardaway Jr. for Frank, yes or no? Let's go around the horn. David.
Like right now.
Yes, right now, right this second.
So the rest of the world is the same as it is right
Yep.
now.
Tim Hardaway Jr. and Kristaps for Frank.
Yeah, I think I still just want to take in bad stuff that'll give me more picks.
All right, good. All right, I think we'll wrap it up here. We've gotten off base.
I thought we were going around the horn.
We might have started off base. I don't know. I've lost it ever since you guys said Durant was picking up his option. He's still mad about that. No, I'm not. I'm over it. I apologize for my hostility. Any final thoughts from anybody? Hope not.
Nah, I'm good.
Think we're all good.
Let's go RJ
Apple
Barrett.
time, Apple time.
Apple time. Let's go, RJ Barrett. Tom.
My weekend was good.
All right.
Tomorrow's when this is coming out, it's going to be Tom's 30th birthday. So happy
Ooh.
birthday, Tom!
Happy
Everyone
birthday,
wish him a happy
Tom.
birthday on Twitter.
Happy birthday, Tom. Let's go, Knicks.
Knicks